Hello, grade 6, and welcome back. So today we're going to continue our lesson 4, Sparta and Athens. So after dealing with the immediate crisis of debt reform, Solon made reforms that allowed more citizens to participate in government, and in this way he laid the foundation on which Athenian democracy would be built. Solon set up a system that based political rights on wealth and not on birth. He divided male citizens into 4 classes according to their agricultural wealth. This wealth included ownership of land, grain, and olive oil. Citizens with the most wealth were in the highest class, and the greater a man's wealth, the higher government position he could hold. So men without property made up the lowest class and could only attend the assembly and serve on juries. However, citizens could rise to a higher class by acquiring more wealth. So under Solon, all male citizens were allowed to attend the assembly in Athens, and this assembly passed laws, elected leaders, and helped decide court cases. Decisions were made by majority rule. So every member had 1 vote, and the idea that received the most votes passed. So now we're going to discuss the life in Athens. So in Athens, education was just as important to producing good citizens as it was in Sparta. So young Athenians learned about good behavior from the famous storyteller Aesop and by reading his fables. These stories used animals to teach moral lessons such as honesty is the best policy. From the age of 7 to about 14, all but the poorest of the Athenian boys passed the day in the school. They studied arithmetic, reading, writing, physical education, as well as arts, painting, poetry, and music. After the age of 14, boys from wealthy families could continue their studies with a private tutor. Most boys began learning their father's trade, studying to become bronze workers, blacksmiths, and carpenters and potters. Athenian girls instead studied reading, writing, arithmetic, and music at home. Because women were in charge of a Greek home life, girls also learned skills such as spinning, weaving, sewing, cooking, and childcare. Wealthy women ran large households, overseeing servants and slaves. Poorer women often worked alongside men on farms and in family-run business. About 1/3 of the people in Athens were slaves. Many were educated, and some even became doctors and teachers. Others cleaned, cooked, farmed, and mined for silver. Neither slaves nor women could participate in the Athenian assembly, vote, or serve on juries. Now here, guys, we're going to compare and contrast between the life in Athens and Sparta. So the difference here in Athens, they had democratic government, where in Sparta they were ruled by kings and officials. In Athens, they emphasized on many subjects in education, while in Sparta they emphasized only in physical education, how to defend themselves and how to go to war and fight in war. Again, in Athens, it was known as they have more artists, writers, and philosophers, while in Sparta known for its powerful and disciplined army. Now for the similarities, both Sparta and Athens had the Greek language and religion, and also both of them, they have more rights for men than for women. So now, guys, we're going to discuss the final part, which is concerns about Persia. So in the 500s BC, the Greek city-states faced a serious threat from the east. This threat came from the Persian Empire. The Persians ruled from Mesopotamia in what is today Iraq. In 539 BC, the Persian king Cyrus II, known as Cyrus the Great, founded the Persian Empire by conquest. Cyrus led his army to conquer much of Asia Minor and the entire Babylonian Empire. The emperors who followed Cyrus expanded the empire even more. Cambyses added all of Egypt. Darius I made the Persian Empire the largest empire in history up to that time. To rule over such a huge empire, Darius I developed a well-organized system of government. He divided the government into 20 small regions. Each had a governor who reported to the emperor. To maintain control, the Persians built a road more than 1,500 miles long that linked the Persian kings to distant areas from the empire. Persian countries carried mail and orders of the king across the empire and returned with the news of the land. When the Persians conquered Asia Minor, they gained control of several Greek colonies. Not satisfied, the Persians wanted to control all the Greek city-states and their trade routes. So the Greeks feared the Persian, whose empire was a threat to Greek culture. They did not want to be ruled by others. The city-state had to make a decision. Alone, each city-state could not hope to defend itself against the Persian army. Together, however, they might be strong enough. So the Persians even worried Sparta, the most powerful city-state on the Peloponnese. In the 500s BC, Sparta created a league, or a group of allies, called the Peloponnesian League, which included many other city-states. Initially, the League's goal was to protect its members against the growing power of Athens and its allies. Under Sparta's leadership, the Peloponnesian League became a major fighting force that would help defend against the Persians. So guys, to sum up this lesson, you need to know that Sparta was ruled both by an oligarchy and two kings. Spartans led a strict military life, and Athens gave rise to early democratic forms of government. Athenians were educated to be well-rounded citizens. Many city-states joined Sparta in the Peloponnesian League for better defense. Now here guys, you have some reading checking questions. I want you to pause this video here, read them and try to answer these questions by yourself. So here guys, you have the answers of the reading checking questions. I want you to pause the video, copy these into your practice book and also check if your answers were right. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching.